different countries across the world within regards to the history of the Jewish community. And today we're going to concentrate here on this Motzei Shabbat on Uganda over here. Very interesting. We've explored about 18 countries already, so I thought an opportunity to speak about the Ugandan Jewish community. I think it's connected to some local tribes. Let's see, some of them had converted to Judaism, such as Abaya Judea. I think it's especially down to, let's say, the 20th century in of itself, when Uganda was under British rule, was offered to the Jews of the world as a Jewish homeland under the British Uganda program, if we can recollect. Many of you will be familiar with this. It was known as Uganda Plan, which culminated with a troubled relationship between the Ugandan leader, someone named Idi Amin, with Israel, that ended with Operation Entebbe, known as Entebbe Rescue or Entebbe Raid in the year 1976. So the small Abba Judea tribe converted to Judaism in the early 20th century. Their population at the moment is estimated about 2,500. It's reported over. Very interesting. Now, we've spoken about various different countries already in here, and this is actually very interesting. Many people would, embrace learning about the different cultures, let's just say, in of itself. But I do have to state on the outset that I think the chief rabbinate of Israel and most Orthodox Judaism do not recognize the Abba Judea conversion as valid for halachic purposes or for the law of return. This is often due to conversions not being conducted under the official rabbinical court and questions surrounding the community's status as an established Jewish community prior to the conversion. So I'm going to state that on the outset. Seemingly, this conversion actually took place of the Abba Judea community was formal conversions overseen by conservative Masorti rabbis, primarily in early 2000s. So I think they would actually go along with a Jewish agency for a period, recognize these conversions in their halachic terms. But Orthodox Jewish people, we're an Orthodox channel also, so this very much will be questioned, let's just say, in of itself from an Orthodox perspective in of itself. Now, there's various different halachic status, first of all, now that one topic. Implications with regards to immigration to Israel, especially there's a law of return which grants automatic citizenship to Jews. For example, there's legal challenges, you could say. I believe, to some extent, Jewish agency's position within regards to Interior Minister's stance within regards to this. The ministry maintains that only Orthodox conversions are generally acceptable for the law of return in this specific content in of itself. Yeah, so we're staying over here, and those conversions that the people made was recognized by non-Orthodox sources. So once again, we are looking at it from a lens of an Orthodox view, because we strongly and recommend people to follow Orthodox stream of Judaism here on this channel. But it's a historic class over here, and as I said before, seemingly from the sources that we're just reading, using the sources over here, they're saying that this conversion was done under the conservative flagship already. So okay, but anyway, we're speaking about them. So this Abba Judea tribe, let's just say, that would, let's say, convert to Judaism, estimated about 2,500, being once as many as 3,000 prior to. Unfortunately, there was, I think, persecutions of the Idi Amin regime. Like the neighbors, they are subsistence farmers. Most of them are Bagwe origin, except for those people from Namutumba, or the people from the area of Basoga. Also, they speak various different languages: Luganda, Lusogo, and Luchua. I think those are, and some of them would have learned Hebrew as well. So that's interesting over here. Now, what was the British Uganda program? It was a plan to give a portion of British East Africa to the Jewish people as a homeland. So very much documented this. The offer was first made by British Colonial Secretary Joseph Chamberlain to Theodore Herzl's Zionist group in 1903. He offered 5,000 square miles of the Mayuta Plateau in what was today Kenya and Uganda. The offer was a response to, obviously there was pogroms at that point in time, to the Jewish community in Russia, and it was hoped that the area could be a refuge from persecution for the Jewish people. Now, talking about the topic of modern relations with State of Israel, that's a very, very important topic. I think it was in 1972 relations with Israel would sour. Although Israel had previously, let's say, supplied Uganda arms, it's reported over in 1972. I think the Idi Amin enraged over Israel's refusal to supply Uganda with jets. I think there was going to be a conflict at that point in time in Tanzania. Expelled Israeli military advisors and turned to Libya and the Soviet Union for support. Amin became an outspoken critic of Israel, and there will be a documentary, I think something of the name, the General Idi Amin Dada, a self-portrait where he discusses plans, let's just say, for war that maybe against Israel. And much as a lot of anti-Semitic rhetoric would have been stated. I think come 1976, Amin himself allowed an Air France airliner, which was at the time reported over, hijacked by two members of the Popular Front of Liberation of Palestine, external operations, and two members of German Revolutionary Zealand, to land at Entebbe Airport. So this is a famous incident that actually happened over there. So there were hijackers were joined by three more. Soon after, 156 non-Jewish hostages who did not hold Israeli passports were released and flown to safety, while 83 Jews and Israeli citizens, as well as 20 others, refused to abandon them, among whom were the captain and crew of the hijacked Air France jet. They continued, this very, very sad story, to be held hostage in the subsequent Israeli rescue operation, let's say, codenamed Operation Thunderbolt, also known as Operation Entebbe. I believe nearly all the hostages were freed. 3 hostages died during the operation and 10 were wounded. 7 hijackers, 45 Ugandan soldiers and 1 Israeli soldier, Yoni Netanyahu, was killed. The 4th hostage, 75-year-old Dora Bloch, who had been taken to the Mulligo hospital in Kampala prior to rescue operation, was subsequently murdered in reprisal. The incident further, let's say, would sour, let's say, Uganda's international relations, leading Britain to close its High Commission in Uganda over here. So that's we're exploring the history with regards to Uganda Jewish community. Anyone that is joining the channel. So Operation Entebbe, it was obviously a hostage rescue mission carried out by Israeli Defense Forces at Entebbe Airport in Uganda on July the 4th, 1976. A week earlier, as of June 27th, an Air France plane with 248 passengers were hijacked by the Palestinian revolutionaries and supporters and flown to Entebbe near Kampala, the capital of Uganda that was. And shortly afterwards, landing, all non-Jewish passengers were released. The operation took place at night. There was, as Israeli transport planes, as they carried out 100 elite commandos over 2,500 miles. The operation took a week of planning, and this was reported over here just using Wikipedia, lasted 90 minutes and 103 hostages were rescued. 5 Israeli commandos were wounded, and the commander, Yonatan Netanyahu, unfortunately was killed. We know related to Benjamin Netanyahu, the current Prime Minister of Israel. So much has been stated with regards to this specific episode in of itself. So they're very, very important to speak about that. And the Jewish community itself, Uganda. So we're trying to really just look into it at the moment. Now, there's synagogues in Uganda, which is very, very interesting. So we're just going to explore a list of some of these synagogues. Once again, we did state on the outset that some of these synagogues, the Abiyudea community maybe was converted with regards to the conservative stream. So I'm not too sure, questioning the Orthodox level of the communities, but this is what is listed as synagogues in Uganda. In Kampala, there's a Beit Ha'am, which is a Marom, and the Kampala Jewish synagogue. In Magada, there's a Namutamba district, there's a Namutamba synagogue. There's in Namonyoni, I think there's the Namonyoni synagogue. In Nesenia, there's a Nesenia synagogue. In Puti, it's a Puti synagogue, respectively, also. So, and just a list over here of some of the synagogues. I think the Stern synagogue, for example, I think it's got numerous synagogues, as we stated before. Yeah, with Abiyudaic community in eastern Uganda. Anyone tuning in live, please subscribe to our channel at the moment. We're exploring the history of the Ugandan Jewish community. Now, there's synagogues, including the Stern Synagogue in Naboja, the Moses Synagogue, and several other communities in Namtuba and as Patti in Hassenia, Namonyoni. The Stern Synagogue, I think, serves the Abba Judea headquarters and is one of the largest in sub-Saharan Africa. Very interesting enough. So I think the Moses Synagogue was formerly the main synagogue in Nabugoya before it was replaced by the Stern Synagogue. So that's very, very interesting over here. So Moses, I'm not sure if it's called the Moses Ben Maimon Synagogue in of itself. Yeah, that's very interesting. So more facts within regards to Uganda over here. Everyone knows pretty much about the history within regards to what happened at the time period when they were looking for a Jewish homeland. That was suggested that Uganda will be the place, let's just say, of the Jewish homeland, obviously, but it didn't happen. Thank God we've got Eretz Israel over here. Let's speak a bit about the Abba Judea, which is known as the people of Judah also. It's a community that's converted, I think, via the conservative movement to Judaism, and it's based in eastern Uganda. Let's just say they keep kashrut, and I think there's a Shabbat observance also they will do. There's different villages where Abu Yada live. Let's say a community let's say there was most community members are affiliated with Reform and conservative movement. So now I think it's actually interesting. In June 2016, Rabbi Shlomo Riskin led a bet din that performed an Orthodox conversion for the Puti community of Abu Yadaya. Now, so that's very, very interesting over here. So this community of the Puti community of Abu Yadaya, remember, Rabbi Shlomo Riskin, we have to say, is an Orthodox rabbi and a founding member of Lincoln Square Synagogue. And I think he's the founding chief rabbi of the Israeli settlement of Efrat, which we have to point out, and the dean of Manhattan Jewish Day School. So seemingly he would perform among the Puti community a Orthodox conversion over here. So that's very, very interesting. I'm not too sure what the exact Puti, this sector in itself, but the Abu Yadaya's population as a whole is estimated between 2,000 to 3,000 over there. And very, very interesting. So that will be interesting to have some more clarity to know how much the Puti community has. Let's say a bit more about Rabbi Shlomo Riskin. I think he actually was born in 1940 in New York, and I think he would learn in Yeshiva University under the guidance of Rav Joseph Soloveitchik. He received a master's degree in Jewish history, completed a PhD in New York University, and he was the founding rabbi of Lincoln Square Synagogue. And he would emigrate, I believe, to Israel. I think it was in the year 1983 it was. And he became the founding chief rabbi, a position he would hold till 2020. So that was quite a long period of time. And it's interesting, he's got a rabbinical school unnamed the Or Torah Stone, something we've spoken about before here on this channel, with a student enrollment numbering thousands over that rabbinical seminary, I believe he's got also. And he pioneers, let's say, the rights of women in the world of Orthodox Judaism, and various different, let's just say, undertakings he's taken all throughout the time. So that's something just we have to point out within regards to it. So, but he would convert the Patti community over there, and once again, that it was an Orthodox conversion, seemingly, if he gave it. But I think, it's very, very interesting. I think there might have been opposition within regards to that also. So that's just something we have to point out over here. So very, very important. Let's just speak a bit about the Abu Yadaya community in of itself. 19th century, the group owes its origins, let's say, to the Uganda military leader Semi Kangugula. And I think Kangugula was converted to Christianity by British missionaries, I think around the year 1880. They believed that the British would allow him to become a king of the territories of Bukide or Bugusa, which he had conquered in battle for them. However, I think when the British limited his territory to a much smaller size, refused to recognize him as the king as they had promised, and Kangugala began to distance himself from them. Okay, 20th century, over here, there's more stated within regards to it. Remember, over here. So they would, I think in 1913, Semi Kengula would become a member of the Bamalaki sect, which followed, let's say, a belief system that combined elements of Judaism, Christianity, and Christian Science. Most notably, a refusal to use Western medicine. Okay, remember, this is we're just talking about the community itself, and not the status, their Jewish status in itself. We just want to get a feel behind the history. I'm using Wikipedia as a source here. This would lead to conflict with the British when the Bamalki refused to vaccinate their cattle. However, upon their study, they would study, I think, the Bible, and Kekengula came to believe that the customs and laws described in the 5 books of Moses, Torah, were really true. In 1919, Kekengula insisted on circumcision and prescribed in the Hebrew Bible, and the Bamalaki reported over refused and told him that if he had practiced circumcision, he would be like the Jewish people. Kengula responded, "Then I am a Jew." So he circumcised his sons and himself and declared that his community was Jewish. This is according to one sources over here. So remember, at this stage in time, the charge that it wasn't maybe a good Orthodox connection is very, very high over here. And I think there was arrival of foreign Jewish people known as Yosef. Maybe some people, Ashkenazic background, they would say about in 1920, contributed much towards the community's acquisition of knowledge about seasons in which there were Jewish holidays such as Pesach, Shavuot, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot in of itself. And very interesting. So that would be a period of time. And it was introduced to this community, the laws of Kashrut, by this Yosef. And the community would start to, I think, more practice it. And even today, his teachings would influence Semi Kankagula to establish a school that acted as a type of, let's just say, a yeshiva, with the purpose of passing on and teaching skills and knowledge first obtained by Yosef. Very interesting at that point in time. So, I think there was a man of the name Aryeh Oded. In 1962, he was an Israeli studying at the Makerere University and visited Abu Yadaya and met someone named Samson Mugomba. This was the first time that the Abu Yadaya had ever met an Israeli, and the first time the community was meeting, let's say, a foreign Jewish person since Yosef. Oded had many long interviews with Mugomba and other leaders and explained to them how Jews in Israel practice Judaism. Oded then, I think, would write a book, Religion and Politics in Uganda, and articles on the community and the customs, let's say, which they would come inside and get affiliation with more people across the globe in the Jewish community. In 1970s, they were persecuted by the Lidi Amin, who outlawed Jewish rituals and destroyed synagogues. Some of the community converted to either Christianity or Islam in the face of religious persecution. A core group of roughly 300 remained, however, committed to Judaism, worshipping secretly. They were fearful, let's just say, that they would be discovered by their neighbors and reported to authorities. This group will call themselves the She'erit Israel, the remnant of Israel, meaning the surviving Ugandan Jews. And a revival will occur in the 1980s. Now, approximately, I think, 400 Abu Yadaya community members were formally converted by 5 conservative rabbis of Judaism in February 2002. So remember, it's not an Orthodox conversion here. And it would continue in the following years. And in 2017, the community itself lives in like the Stern synagogue. And I don't know, they're not... and Nabugoya Hill outside Mibala, and the nearby synagogue in the village of the Naman Yoni, plus others would live in Nasenia, Nalumbembe, Bustele, Nagola, and there's apparently, as I said before, the sole Orthodox community, the Puti one, all in Palisa district. Very interesting. So something we have to point out. I'm not too sure how many members it is. There's a 9th village, Apak, I think, is in the way of Mabal, a census which shows that I think the total population as 1,067. So very interestingly enough. So the Jewish community, I think, is in Tuba, let's say the largest one. Once again, I'm not too sure. This doesn't, maybe they didn't have an Orthodox conversion. So I'm just going to state that's over there. But they've got an interfaith primary school called Tikkun Olam Primary School over here, which serves, let's say, the community as a whole over there. So the elder, I think, over there is someone called Rabbi Ari, appointed as Shadrach. And I think he attended Uganda Christian University and graduated with a degree in project planning and entrepreneurship in 2003. And he would study, I think, in in the yeshiva of there was Chief Abu Yadaya Rabbi called Gershom Sizoma, and very interesting. So now, who is Gershom Simona over here? So this he is considered, let's just say, the chief rabbi of the Jewish community in Uganda, respectively. So we spoke about him before. I think we touched on him. Obviously, he was born in 1969, and let's just say he's the first native-born black rabbi in sub-Saharan Africa. He's the chief rabbi of Uganda and a member of the Ugandan parliament. So he was born, I think, on an Abu Yadaya family. His grandfather was a community leader. The Abu Yadaya, let's say, were persecuted during the years of the Idan Amin regime. And during his childhood, I think his father was arrested for building a sukkah as part of the celebration of the Jewish holiday of Sukkot. His father was released when Sizoma's family paid the arresting officer with a ransom of 5 goats. In 1979, there was an overthrow of the Amin government. Freedom of religion was restored in Uganda, and his family celebrated by co-hosting 200 people in a Passover Seder consisting of matzah and Ugandan banana wine, if I'm not mistaken. Very interesting. He is, as we said before, the Abu Yada was not recognized by the government of Israel as being Jewish because the community had not formally converted to Judaism. I have to stress that out over here. So I think it was in 2003, Sizoma sought Israeli approval of the Abu Yudaya by inviting the 4 United States rabbis to conduct conversion ceremony for 300 Abu Yadaya Jews, which they did in 2003 in a ceremony consisting of the question, why do you want to be Jewish? To which Abu Yudai responded, I was born Jewish and I'd like to stay Jewish. Others refused to take part. We're already Jewish, some of them said. So Rabbi Sizoma had openly identified himself as a Zionist, and once stated in an interview, if the Arab world declared war on Israel, we would fight and die to protect it. He earned a BA, Bachelor of Arts in Education from Islamic University in Uganda, as a Bechol Leshon, a rabbinic student, let's just say, institute for the Jewish community research. He came to the United States of America to study on a 5-year program in 2003 at the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies, American Jew, and he graduated in 2008. Remember, it's under auspices of conservative Judaism. As said before, it's not Orthodox Judaism. I've got to stress that over here. So that makes its key difference, because we have to look at the halacha side of things. In July 2008, he returned to Uganda, conducted a conversion ceremony of 250 people at the village of Nabogoya. And these converts came all from Uganda, Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa. And let's just say, so very interesting. He was involved politically also. So that's also a key thing to say. But once again, seemingly, the community, barring the Patti community, did not convert to Orthodox, which is problematic over here. That's something that we do have to point out over there. But I think he does come in. So he's a conservative rabbi. So the leadership is in himself. But the Puti in Uganda is a community which seemingly did receive an Orthodox conversions. So I think, I don't know if it's fully, totally been implemented, but at one stage in time they were doing it. I think, what is a Puti village? It's an agrarian village. The community surrounds around the Sherit Yisrael synagogue, which has about 150 members. The congregation is collectively known as Kahal Kadosh Sherit Yisrael. They practice Judaism according to Orthodox Sephardi halacha, let's just say. And they have Brit Milah on 8 days. They keep kashrut, observe Shabbat and Jewish holidays and laws of family purity, Taharat Mishpacha. It was founded in 1920 by the chief of the district, Semel Kegulula, and that's something that we have to state about. The worldwide Jewish community became aware of Jewish presence in Uganda through the efforts of young Peace Corporation volunteer and Reform and Conservative Jews, where, let's say, had the desire to be Jewish, offered to assist them. The majority of Jewish settlements in Mobile accepted the support, which included Jewish artifacts, financial support, and non-Orthodox conversion and acceptance. However, the community in Puti, to this present day, did not go along with the rest of the Abu Yadaya and is holding out. I think they wanted the Orthodox accepted conversion, so I believe they would get it. And in 2012, there was a, let's say, recognition of the Puti Abu Hidayah by Israel and the Orthodox Jewish world because of Rabbi Shlomo Riskin, who was founding chief rabbi of Ephrata, as I mentioned before, and the chancellor of the Or Torah Stone Institute in coordination with the Puti Village Assistance Organization. A mikveh had been built. There was a lot of work being done in order to, let's say, build the synagogue in of itself. So that's very, very important. Anyone coming in, joining in at the moment, we're exploring the history of the Ugandan Jewish community over here on this special edition over here. And very, very interesting. So we're speaking about that. And the rabbis, not much to state over in recent times, but it's always good to speak about more countries over here on this special edition. So very, very interesting. It's actually interesting. I believe they even have a Chabad, I think it is, which is very interesting enough. So I think they actually became the 100th country to actually have a Chabad in its territory. So that's something that we've got to point out also, because Chabad are all over the world, in all different communities, let's just state. And, just doing, I think they are under, I think Rabbi is Rabbi Moshe Raskin, if I'm not mistaken, co-director. And the website is chabaduganda.com, if I'm not mistaken. So I'd recommend everyone to look at that. So to be precise, I think his name is Rabbi Moshe Raskin and Rabbanit Yocheved, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Chabad has been in contact with the Jewish community of Uganda since 1999, and various rabbis and summits for Jewish holidays were there. And so that's very interesting. And they would come, I think, on this key date over here. And that's more to point out. So friends, anyone coming in, we're exploring the history of the Uganda Jewish community. It's a brief session over here. We don't have that much to say that we have to point out, but I thought it would be an interesting topic to speak about over here. We've spoken about already 20 countries we have to point out in the series, which is a phenomenal achievement. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel now and join our community. We've got great work coming up, great work overall. That's something that I do have to point out. So thank you very much to everyone for listening. We are a community here. We learn about various different Jewish histories in itself. We spoke about Uganda today. So please, everyone that's joining in for the first time, subscribe, join our channel, enjoy. We've just come out of Shabbat Parashat Lech Lecha here from the place I'm recording here in Israel. So that's very, very interesting. And we recorded last week a lot of videos about South American countries. We've still got to speak about a few more also. Hopefully we can do that in the coming days. And, go from strength to strength at the moment. And a lot of fantastic feedback we are getting. So I really, really appreciate it. And appreciate everything you guys are doing. And thanks very much for watching, and take care.